This is the first video that goes along with section 3.2, Law of Cosines. With this video, there are 6 formulas that you need to have. So it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to get out the blue sheet that we have and write these 6 formulas down. The first 3 formulas for the law of cosines are for the sides of the triangles. So sides of the triangles. They are very similar, but you have to make sure you have everything in the correct order. So a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc times cosine of alpha. B squared equals a squared plus c squared minus 2ac cosine of beta. And c squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cosine of gamma. Now, if you can kind of compare these 3 formulas, if you're looking for a squared, you add the other 2 sides, you multiply by those 2 sides, and then you can see the alpha and the a go together. Same thing with the b and the gamma. We are going to use the law of cosines for side angle side and side 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 triangles. That is going to be very important to know whenever you go to tell the difference between the two whenever we end up having a chapter test. So these are the first 3 formulas. So you may want to pause the video so then you can write these down. And these are the next 3 formulas. These 3 formulas are for solving for the angles. So whenever we solve for the angles, remember you have to do the inverse to solve for the angles. And this time we're using cosine, so it would be the cosine -1 button. So these other 3 formulas, they also are very similar. So make sure you have them in order. For alpha, you have a squared minus b squared minus c squared, and it's divided by -2 times bc. So you can see that they are divided by the other 2 sides. Cosine of beta equals b squared minus a squared minus c squared, divided by -2ac. And cosine of gamma is c squared minus a squared minus b squared, divided by -2ab. So make sure you write these down on your blue sheet. So you have these. You may want to pause the video so you can write these down. Okay, so I have 2 examples to go through to show you what we need to do. This is going to be very similar looking to the law of sines. However, you have to use the different formulas because in the law of sines, you had a match of an opposite side and an opposite angle. If you look at this particular example, you do not have that. So you no longer can use the law of sines. You have to use the law of cosines. So this is a side angle side triangle, and we need to solve for side C, angle alpha, and angle beta. So again, you'll want to put your answers in the boxes. Okay, so whenever you have the side angle side triangle and you're trying to figure out what you want to solve for first, you can't solve for any of the angles yet because you don't have the other one to go along with it. So we need to solve for side C first. So if you want to write down the formula, it's c squared equals a squared plus a b squared minus 2ab cosine of gamma. And basically all you're doing is substituting in the numbers. So a squared, that would be 2 squared plus 3 squared minus 2 times 2 times 3 cosine of 60. Now I highly suggest not putting this entire thing into your calculator because you don't have enough. You probably won't use the correct parentheses, so just take it piece by piece and go from there. So 2 squared would be 4 and 3 squared would be 9. So 4 plus 9. And then over here, you're multiplying again. So 2 times 2 times 3 would be 12. At this point, I still would not put this into my calculator yet. I'm very leery about calculators, so you can do the 4 plus 9 and get 13. Okay. At this point in time, you could put this into your calculator. If you do not and you keep going, just make sure you pay attention to the order of operations because you want to probably do the 13 minus 12 first, but you can't because this is multiplying. But you very well could put this into your calculator. So 13 minus 12 times cosine of 60, and you get c squared as equaling 7. Now this is not solved for c yet because you need to take the square root to solve for c. So if you take the square root, you can also give me a decimal form of this. So the square root of 7, c equals 2.65. Okay, now we need to solve for the angles, angle alpha and angle beta. It doesn't matter which one you solve for first. So I'm just going to go ahead and solve for alpha first. So if we look at our formulas, cosine of alpha equals a squared minus b squared minus c squared. And that's divided by -2 times BC. So again, you are substituting in your numbers. So a squared would be 2 squared minus 3 squared. Okay, now something to pay attention to this. The c squared you already have over here. And c squared is 7. So there's no point in writing 2.65 squared. You already have that c squared. And then divided by -2 times 3. Now the c would be the 2.65. Okay, again, I would not put this all into your calculator at once. I would do it separately. So I would do the numerator and denominator first. So 4 minus 9 minus 7. And then -2 times 3 times 2.65. And you get -15.9. Okay, so going a little bit further, 4 minus 9 minus 7 is -12. So you have -12 over -15.9. Now you're looking for the angle, so you have to do the inverse. So I'm going to pop over here. So you want to do cosine -1 of -12 over -15.9. So cosine inverse of -12 divided by -15.9. And you should get 40.99. So you could round that up to 41 since it's 0.999. Okay, now to solve for angle beta, you could do another setup and do the cosine of beta and do the other formula, but you also now have the other angles. So you can just subtract from 180. So 180 minus 60 minus 41, and you should get 79. Okay, here is the next example. So B equals 10, C equals 20, and alpha equals 30. So we are looking for side A, angle beta, and angle gamma. Okay, if you only have one side to solve for, I would solve for side A first. So if you look at your formula, you have A squared equals B squared plus C squared minus 2 times BC times cosine of alpha. Again, all you're doing is substituting in numbers. So 10 squared plus 20 squared minus 2 times 10 times 20 cosine of 30. I'm going to highly suggest making this as simple as possible before you put it into your calculator. So 10 squared is 100. 20 squared is 400. So 100 plus 400 is 500. And then 2 times 10 times 20 is 400. Okay, so at this point, you could probably put this into your calculator. So 500 minus 400 cosine of 30, and A squared equals 153.59. You need to take the square root of that to get side A. So the square root of 153.59 is 12.39. Okay, we can solve for angle B or angle gamma. Doesn't matter which one. So if I just solve for beta, cosine of beta equals B squared minus A squared minus C squared all over -2 times A times C. So again, just substituting in numbers, we got 10 squared. Okay, the A squared you already solved for. It's 153.59. And then C squared is 20. So all over -2 times A, which is 12.39, times 20. Okay, so the numerator, 10 squared minus 153.59 minus 20 squared is -453.59. Okay, and you divide that by -2 times 12.39 times 20. -2 times 12.39 times 20. I'm typing something into my calculator wrong. -2 times 12.39 times 20. And you get -495.6. Okay, so remember, since you're looking for the angle, you need to do the inverse of negative 453.59 over negative 495.6. So cosine inverse of negative 453.59 divided by negative 495.6. And you get 23.76. Now to find the last angle, you can just subtract from 180. So 180 minus 30 minus 23.76. You get 126.24. Okay, so your homework tonight with this video is the first homework. It's page 275, numbers 5 and 9. One thing to note is you should not get any domain errors with this. If you did, then that means you typed something wrong into your calculator. So that's just something to note.